Do you remember blue skies? Doesn't it seem that there are more and more weird clouds in the sky? There really couldn't be that many planes going by, could there? What if it's something else? What if it's a chemical? What could it be? Why would there be extra chemicals in the air? Are those clouds safe or harmful? Is it science or a conspiracy? Either way, things are about to get strange. All right.
So, on today's episode, we are talking about the crazy conspiracy theory of chemtrails.
Chemtrails. Are they real or are they fake?
Have you ever heard of chemtrails before I told you what this episode was about?
I don't think so. But
I did.
you did.
I did. So, let's go on ahead and get into this. The chemtrail conspiracy theory is the belief that the long-lasting condensation trails in the sky consist of chemical or biological agents left in the sky by high-flying aircrafts. They are sprayed by aircrafts for horrible reasons that are not disclosed to the public. Those who believe this theory believe that the chemicals are released for weather modification, mind control, psychological manipulation, population control, testing of chemical or biological agents on the public, or chemical warfare. To chemtrail theorists, the difference between chemtrails and contrails is the difference between duration. Chemtrails are left in the sky for hours, if not for half of the day. Contrails are a trail of condensed water from an aircraft or rocket at high altitude. It is seen as a white streak in the sky. Contrails are streams that last for only hours and usually blend into large clouds because they are crisscrossed. This theory began back in 1996. The United States Air Force published a report about weather modification. In the late 1990s, the United States Air Force was accused of spraying the population of the United States with an unknown substance by aircrafts generating weird contrail patterns. Radio host Art Bell popularized the theory in 1999 and was posted online by people such as Richard Fink, the founder of a chemtrail conspiracy hoax, and William Thomas, the writer of Chemtrails Confirmed. The United States Air Force released an undated fact sheet in the early 2000s stating that the theories were a hoax and used the 1996 strategy paper that was drafted within their Air University called Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025. It was an outline for a possible future weather modification system for maintaining the U.S.'s military dominance in 2025. It was identified as fictional representations. The Air Force also clarified in 2005 that it didn't reflect any current military practices, capability, or policy. There have been photographs of aircrafts filled with barrels installed in the passenger space of an airplane for light test purposes. It is claimed to show aerosol dispersion systems. The real purpose was to stimulate the weight of cargo or passengers and is filled with water that is pumped from barrel to barrel. This is to test the different centers of gravity. This did not stop theorists from thinking that this was the cause of chemtrails. There was a review of 20 chemtrail websites in 2014. It found that people believed in the chemtrail theories, appeal to science in some of their arguments, but don't believe what scientists or government employees say. These scientists and government employees have consistently denied that chemtrails are real, and the chemtrails that are seen are simply persistent contrails. These are the condensation trails that are left in high altitudes by planes or rockets. Fossil fuel combustion produces water vapor and carbon dioxide. Since the air is so cold in these high altitudes, the hot, humid air from the engine exhausts mixes with that cold air and causes the water vapors to turn into ice crystals. How long these last all depends on the water conditions. If the atmosphere is dry, the contrail would dissipate rather quickly, but if the conditions are close to saturation, the contrails will last for a while longer. There is a surge of thinking after COVID hit that contrails are being used to spread COVID, give out vaccines, reduce the population, initiate mind control, and attempt to promote a new world order. Some of the theorists state that putting a bowl of white vinegar outside your house is supposed to clear up the chemtrail skies. There is a surge of thinking after COVID hit that contrails are being used to spread COVID, give out vaccines, reduce the population, initiate mind control, and attempt to promote a new world order. Some of the theorists state that putting a bowl of white vinegar outside your house is supposed to clear up the chemtrail skies. These social media groups usually have posts that are anti-vaccine and deny climate change. Let's get into some fun facts. Before the theories were spread, much of Britain was sprayed with airborne chemicals in the 50s and the 60s. This was a series of secret germ warfare tests. San Francisco was sprayed with a chemical agent in 1950. It was sprayed from a ship to gauge the effects of a bioweapon attack on a populated area. Another fun fact is that federal agents were flooded with angry and concerned calls or letters after the chemtrail theory was spread. A multi-agency response attempted to stop the rumors in 2000. The agencies were the EPA, FAA, NASA, and the NOAA. Cloud seeding was used during the 2008 Beijing Olympics in efforts to ward off rain during the opening ceremonies. And my favorite fun fact is that Edward Snowden himself stated on the Joe Rogan Experience, in case you were wondering, chemtrails are not a thing. He also said, I had ridiculous access to the networks of the NSA, the CIA, the military, all these groups. I couldn't find anything.
All right, let's get a little science-y. Contrails result when planes fly through the sky for a number of reasons. 1, when air passes over the wings. 2, the exhaust gases. 3, dumping of extra fuel. Airplane wings are flat on the bottom and curved on top and taper off at the end. The air below the wings travels quickly. The air above the wing has a longer distance to travel and becomes cooler. So when you see an airplane leave trails between its wings, it's because the air from above and below mixes. The cooler air above the wings hits the hotter air below the wings. Similarly, when the hot exhaust gases from the engines are spewed out, they mix with the cool air, again causing the water particles to crystallize and form clouds. Now, when a plane is set to fly, it carries a certain amount of fuel. If a plane makes its voyage and has too much unburnt fuel left, a plane will dump excess fuel prior to landing to make the landing safer and to cause less wear and tear on the plane, since maintenance on aircraft is more expensive than just dumping the extra fuel. By now, you're probably thinking that people are just crazy and that they're confusing chemtrails for contrails. There is no such thing as chemtrails. Wrong. There are legitimate uses, like spraying crops, or in the use of cloud seeding, which works on a regional scale, seeking to influence weather systems for the benefit of agriculture. Some cloud seeding usages include watering crops, for increasing the amount of snowfall at ski resorts, or even to increase the snow for hydroelectric companies needing more water runoff to produce more electricity. Other countries have participated in cloud seeding. One example, England. As read on howstuffworks.com, Operation Cumulus, the British cloud seeding experiment in the 1950s, were far more effective than planned. On August 15th, 1952, they resulted in deadly flash floods in Lynmouth, a village in Devon, England. After dozens of people died in the floods, Operation Cumulus was put on hold. The British Ministry of Defense denied involvement in cloud seeding until 2001, when documents exposing it were declassified. Cloud seeding is one of an array of geoengineering technologies. From the looks of it, there are negative effects that scientists are still working through. Then, there's Operation Indigo Skyfold. So apparently, there was a military pilot who came forward confessing to the truths behind chemtrails. He mentions that pilots are spraying toxic chemicals, but that even he and the other pilots are not fully disclosed about what they are releasing into the atmosphere. They're just told to shut up. The pilots are frequently rotated in locations that they're piloting out of, and also on schedules day and night, being rotated to keep from building any close relationships or developing any kind of loose lips. You can find out more of the conversation on stateofthenation2012.com. So, Molly, do you believe in the chemtrail theory?
I mean, to a certain extent, yes, and I would not honestly put it past the US government to use chemtrails to do some crazy stuff on us, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I find it, well, it seems a little crazy, of course, that, why would the government be really trying to mind control everybody? I could definitely see it in usage terms of like population control.
Because the world definitely has way too many people.
Because there's a lot of people, or in light of whoever's interests are in office. So if they fly over certain areas of opposing groups of people that are going against what the current person in power has to say or think, they could easily put a poison gas over a whole group of people. And who's really there? There's nobody there to pull the trigger. It's an invisible thing that just kills everybody. So yeah, I'd be more on the chemtrail theory being real.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get too political on this because you know my views and I might get people mad. So we're going to stop that there. Do you think that there is a possibility that the government will be able to use some kind of chemicals in the future to control people? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, there's the whole MK Ultra
Yes.
bag of worms to get into, and that was using chemicals. It wasn't just like they show Twilight Zone or anything where they're just looking at mesmerizing images. They're being given
LSD, I think.
LSD and other chemicals and things. I think as far as like spraying chemicals, maybe that's a bit loose. But if it was more just direct on somebody or in somebody's system, yeah.
How dangerous do you think these theories are, especially when it comes to things like COVID and the vaccine? What do you think about that?
Theories like chemtrails in relation to COVID, I think it's very possible, but I do believe that there were treaties against chemical warfare that were put in place during Vietnam. So do I anticipate that we would have continual chemical warfare? Well, not immediately, but maybe under some extreme circumstances. Do people believe? Well, there is the dangerous thing where there are some people that are so down the rabbit hole on these conspiracies that they don't believe anything. So, in regards to COVID, they might not even believe in COVID. Like, okay, I get that, some people take it a bit extreme, but we have that on both sides. So you do have some conspiracy theorists that may not even believe COVID's real, but we know it's real. But you got to watch what you're thinking.
I think one thing that kind of scares me is that in like a lot of the Facebook groups in my research were saying how they're like very anti-vax, and like you were saying, they don't think COVID is a big deal as it is. I personally think COVID is a big deal. I'm immunocompromised. I have an autoimmune disease and I'm taking hardcore medication. And I would appreciate if other people cared about me and my well-being and didn't just disregard something because they think it's not real. So just be kind to everybody. Care for your fellow human being.
And I think that's about it for today. So we need to wrap up here. There's definitely a lot more information, just like we're going to have on a lot of our subjects that are conspiracy theories. We're going to have some links to some of the sources from today's episode. We're also going to probably have some photos that you can look at. The barrels that Molly was talking about in the airplanes that some people thought were the chemicals being sprayed. All sorts of photos and goodies on social media, the blog, and don't forget, go check out the merch.
Yes, and who knows, down the line maybe we'll circle back to this. Stay weird. So we wanted to take a quick second to give a little thank you, our first little shout out to our friend Sam. I think she was the first one to actually listen to the podcast. And she is the first one to buy some merch from us. So thanks, Sam. We love you. You are the best.
Thanks, Sam.
You rock. So if you buy some merch from us, if you donate to our snack fund, you will definitely get some shout outs, some thank you, some appreciation, some love, because we love all of you guys that support us. So thank you.
We want to thank you for tuning in. You can find us on all your favorite social platforms by searching Conspiracy Weird, posting photos and details from each episode. Please consider keeping our tummies full by donating to the Snack Fund. Donations will be given a shout out on the podcast. Special thanks to Audionautics.com for the theme music. And remember, question everything.